EQ analyzers, they're not telling you the full story, but I will. EQ analyzers are useful, for sure. That's why we have them. Do I use them? Of course I use them, but there's a time and a place to use them. They can be really useful when you have some sort of problematic frequency or like some resonance that you can't quite pick out with your ears. But unfortunately, what they do is they pull you into the trap of EQing things with your eyes and not your ears. So here are some things that an analyzer is not telling you. So the first thing is a context. Whenever you're using EQ in any kind of way, what you're doing with that EQ massively depends on the context that you're working in. So this can be genre, whether it's pop or rock, trap, neo-soul, whatever. Your analyzer doesn't know that. So what you do to a sound and the way you EQ it is massively going to depend on what kind of genre it is and what context that sound is sitting in. Things you can't hear. Your analyzer is going to show you stuff that you might feel like you need to remove when you don't need to. The best way to know is remove it and then listen. A and B. I've got a very useful little video for you right here. And when you've done it, if you can't hear a difference, then maybe you don't need to do it. You're overprocessing unnecessarily. Taste. Taste is probably one of the most important parts about music creation. And the best thing about music creation is that we all hear things differently. How I EQ something is not necessarily going to be the way that you EQ something. There's no industry standard way to do something. So if you EQ what you can see, you're not necessarily doing it out of instinct or taste. And developing your taste is how you get better at making music and how you get better at making these decisions. Your space. If you're fortunate enough to have a space with monitor speakers that you can work in, the room might have problem areas. I have treatment in my room that helps a little bit. I have bass traps. I have things to make it a more balanced listening environment. But it has problems. And I know those problems because I sit in the studio day in and day out. It dramatically affects how certain frequencies can be perceived. The same goes for headphones. Some headphones favor low end, others mid-range. An analyzer in your EQ can't compensate for your room or for your headphones without calibration. Basically, this means that your mixes won't translate well. And finally, you're going to overprocess. The more you look, the more you can see, the more you change. Meaning that you're going to do way more EQ processing than maybe you would do if you were just listening and not looking at the frequencies. So I recommend, particularly if you're just starting out, that you turn your analyzer off. Train your ears, your money makers. Listen and don't look. Because what you'll find is over time, you can put the analyzer back on. You don't really look at it anymore. I have analyzers on, but I normally EQ just out of what I can hear and what I think the sound should sound like. So look, don't keep this to yourself, all right? That's not what we do. Share with your fellow music makers and let's all help make music sound better. And also subscribe to my channel for more tips. Big love, bye.